Greetings from Redefined Church. I'm Joel Van Briggle, and I'm delighted you've chosen to join us today. Redefined Church is a gathering of people from many different backgrounds, various nations, who are exploring faith at the intersection of life, community, and mission. Our desire is that you belong. You sense that you belong, whether you've been attending church for many years or you've never attended church before. Our theme this month is Alive. As we come towards Easter and we remember Christ's resurrection, we remember that He is alive. In a day where there's movies and video games about zombies, zombies are nothing more than dead bodies that are animated to move as though they're alive. While our series is not about zombies, we recognize that there are people that surround us each and every day that are spiritually not alive. Jesus lived, died, and rose from the dead so that we could be made alive. Physically, emotionally, spiritually alive. Join us as we explore why the resurrection matters in our life today. If you'd like to talk to someone about your faith journey, or you'd like someone to pray with you, please send us a message. We'd love to connect with you. And you're always welcome at any of our in-person gatherings. Check us online to see what's happening here at Redefined Church. And now, our message.
We are going to John chapter 11. In the previous chapter, Jesus had some touchy situations in Jerusalem. He's been preaching, he's been sharing his news about the Father and the kingdom, but it's not going it's not being liked by some people, and the religious leaders are trying to stone him. So they barely escape. They're moving away from Jerusalem. They're a good distance away from Jerusalem, and while they're there, trying to recuperate, trying to relax, they are getting a message. Not a message just from anybody, but from two sisters. Two sisters that Jesus loves very much. And the message says the following: Lord, behold, the one whom you love is sick. And the sisters are sending the message because their brother Lazarus is sick. Now, you can imagine this is, this is a scary situation. They don't know what's happening. They don't know how sick he is, what is happening, but they want Jesus to know that he is sick because they are close to each other. Jesus tells a little bit later on that this is the one he loves very much. So when Jesus hears that, he's telling his disciples, and probably also the messenger, he's telling him in verse 4, this sickness is not unto death. Now you can imagine the messenger, he says, whew, good news. He goes back to the sisters and reports what Jesus has said. But Jesus is not in a hurry. He stays a couple of days, and then at one point he says to his disciples, let's go. We're going to go to Jerusalem, we're going to see our friends. And he tells them the reason why. He says, Lazarus is dead. He has died. He makes it very plain to them, he has died. So he's waiting 2 days, then decides to go. And when they finally arrive in Bethany, the place where Mary and Martha are, Lazarus has already been dead for 4 days. And when Martha hears that Jesus is there, she's rushing out to meet him. Now, what she does there, you have to imagine the situation, the background. In those times, when people died, they were buried immediately, the same day. And then there was this whole thing that was happening around the funeral. There were actually rules and traditions about how to mourn. The first 3 days there was heavy mourning. The next 4 days there was a bit of light mourning, and then you would mourn for another 30 days. And then they had professional mourners to come. It was required that you at least would hire two flute players, to come and play, and a number of people who were professional mourners. That was their job. They would come and help you mourn and mourn with you. And so it seems like there was a large crowd present in that house, around that house. Apparently, Mary and Martha and Lazarus were well known. They were loved. It seems to be a family that was well to do. So many people came, even from Jerusalem came, and there was lots of people there. And the tradition is that when you are mourning, people who come and visit would visit you in the house while you were sitting there and mourning. But Martha does something completely different. She hears that Jesus is coming. She stands up, rushes out of the house, and goes to meet him. Some commentators say that she's really giving an incredible extra honor to Jesus by not waiting on him to come to him, but by rushing out to meet him. And when she meets him, she says the following: "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have been well." And it's probably something that the two sisters have said regularly to each other. Remember, these are two women that love Jesus very much. They have seen Jesus work. They know what he's capable of. And they're wondering, what is happening? Why did nothing happen? They're probably wondering, we heard the good news. Where Jesus said, this is not unto death. And here we are, 4 days later. Lazarus is in the tomb. He is dead. He is buried. It's over. It's gone. And she rushes out and she tells Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, this would not have happened." This is not an accusation. Really what Martha is doing, she's pouring out her heart. She's pouring out her pain. She's pouring out maybe a part of frustration, maybe a part of what she doesn't understand what is happening. She doesn't understand why it's happening. But she pours out her heart to Jesus, not in an angry voice. She's still confident that Jesus is on the throne, but she doesn't understand what's happening. See, there's nothing wrong in letting God know what you're feeling. In 1 Peter 5 verse 7 says that cast all your cares, cast all your anxiety, cast all your troubles unto the Lord, because he loves you. Yeah, and so we can reach out. In our times of despair, in our times when it seems like all hope is gone, when we don't know what is happening, we can still pour out our heart. Psalm 22 says, my God, why have you abandoned me?" And David, the psalm writer, writes about his frustration, his feeling of that it seems like everything has fallen away. My God, why have you abandoned me? And there's no reason why you, in your despair, why you, in your frustration, why you, in your hopelessness, can still reach out and say, "God, where are you?" But Martha goes on. And she goes on with a strong faith. And she said, "Lord, but even now, I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you." Now, she is not thinking about resurrection. She is not thinking about Jesus calling out Lazarus from the dead. She realizes that path, that door is closed. The stone has been rolled in front of the tomb. That door is closed. He's been in the tomb for 4 days. When Jesus later says to Martha, "Open up the grave," she says, No, that's not possible. He's already smelly. Decomposition has already set in. It is too late. She's not asking for that miracle, but she wants to pour out her faith and confidence in Jesus despite this troubled situation. Sometimes it feels like when we're in a situation of hopelessness, that all truth is falling away. That all the things that we have built our faith on seems to be falling away. And Martha, in her moment of despair, still reaches out to God. Still reaches out and says, I trust in you. Sometimes we don't understand God's timing. Sometimes actually most of the times probably, we don't understand God's timing. Why did Jesus wait? Why didn't he speak a word? He could have said, Lazarus, be healed. He has done it before, far away, where people were being healed when he was not even present. But he had something else in mind. And he tells Martha, your brother will rise again. And Martha says, yes, I know. In the last day, in the latter days, when everything comes, he will rise like everybody else. But that's not what Jesus meant. He is Jesus. And then Jesus says the following famous statement. One of the I am sayings that we see in the Gospel of John. And he says, I am the resurrection and the life. Yeah, so Martha was thinking about an event that was going to take place later on, when everybody, on that last day where everybody would rise again. But Jesus is not talking about an event. He is talking about himself. He says, I am the resurrection and the life. He doesn't say, I am the giver of resurrection. He doesn't say, I am the giver of life. And he says, I am the resurrection and the life. Resurrection and life are tied up in one person, Jesus. He is the source of resurrection. He is the source of life. And he says, he who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. See, we think about death as being the end. But Jesus here is telling us that physical death is not the most important thing. We might think of it as the end. But what Jesus is telling here is that this is not the case for those who believe in Jesus. For those who believe in Jesus, death is the gateway to a further life and a fuller life and fellowship with God. We can hope in resurrection because Jesus has beaten death. We see later in the story, at the end, that Jesus speaks those famous words, Lazarus, out, here. He says, in Greek, he says, Lazarus, here, outside. Lazarus, come out to me. And then we see, even later, next week in our series, that Jesus himself is resurrected from the death and he lives. Jesus says in John chapter 10, verse 10, that I have come so that they, and let me just paraphrase it a little bit, so that you may have life, and that you may have life abundantly. The sermon series is Alive. And that's what Jesus wants to give us. When he says, I am the resurrection and the life, he wants to give us life abundantly and full. In Ephesians 2, the Apostle Paul speaks about as being dead in our trespasses and our sins. But he says that Jesus has made us alive, those who were dead. He says in verse 4 of chapter 2, he says, "But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love with which he has loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together by grace." Yeah, by grace we were together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and we've been raised up together. Christ has come to give us life to the fullest. And then he's asking Martha this important question, and I think he's asking it to us also. Do you believe this? Do you believe that I am the resurrection and the life? Do you believe that God can give you hope no matter your circumstance? Do you believe that Jesus can give you life even if it seems that your life isn't worth anything? Do you believe that God can be good even if life isn't so good right now? When Jesus tells Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will have life. He's asking that same question to you. Do you believe me? Jesus wants to give you life. He wants to make you alive. But it can only happen if you are willing to put your trust in Him and Him alone.
Thank you for joining us this week with Redefined Church. If you have any questions or you would like prayer, we would love to connect with you. Please send us a private message and we'll be able to pray with you and connect with you and help you in your faith journey. Thanks so much for joining us, and I encourage you throughout this week, get a hold of the Redefining Moments, which is a daily devotional that can be a part of your growth and help you in your walk with Jesus Christ. I want to also encourage you to check out all the things that are happening on our website and be a part of what is happening here at Redefined Church. May God bless you and have an incredible week.